I had an argument with my wife last Friday over something stupid, barely worth mentioning really. We don't argue much, we're fairly steady. This one it threw me off. I had a batch of videos ready to record, the scripts laid out in front of me, but all I could think about was that argument, that little tension sitting here in my chest. And it got me thinking about marriage, about why it's so hard sometimes, about what it actually is and what we've made it into. Because if your marriage feels difficult right now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's broken. It might just mean that it's real. And if you're not married yet, stay with me. This is about more than marriage. This is about covenant love in general. And you'll need this foundation. We've made marriage into all sorts of things that it was never meant to be, haven't we? For some, it's a performance. Turn up, play the part, keep everyone happy. And for others, it's a prison. And for plenty more, it's just optional, disposable. A contract you can exit when your feelings fade. I'm not happy anymore. We've grown apart. I'm not getting what I need. It's all contract language, right? Consumer love, transactional, conditional. But biblically, marriage isn't a contract. It's a covenant. And that's not just religious semantics. It's a whole difference between love that depends on performance and love that chooses faithfulness. Malachi 2:14 says it plainly. She is your companion and your wife by covenant, not by negotiation, not by mutual benefit, no, by covenant. And what's the difference? And why does it matter for your marriage or your future marriage right now? Here's the thing. A contract says, I'll do this if you do that. It's about mutual benefit, mutual performance. Everything has to be measured and managed, protected. But a covenant says, I'm giving myself to you. Not because you've done something to deserve it, not because you've earned it, but because I've chosen to love you. It's about faithfulness, not fairness. In a contract, I protect myself. In a covenant, I give myself. Now, if you've been following this series, we've been unpacking what biblical masculinity looks like. We've talked about vulnerability, how the strongest men in Scripture wept, despaired, leaned on God and each other. David, Elijah, Jesus himself. Then we looked at what real strength is. Not dominance, not control, but sacrificial love. Jesus washing feet. It's Jesus laying down his life. Leadership as service, not as superiority. And now we're asking, how does that show up in marriage? How do we lead in our homes without becoming tyrants? How do we love without falling into passivity or authoritarianism? Because this is where the rubber meets the road, lads. You can have all the theology in the world, but if it doesn't change how you love the person sleeping next to you, what's the point? When I had that stupid argument with my wife last Friday, part of me wanted to win, wanted to be right, but sitting there afterwards, all I could think was, that wasn't worth it. I don't want to win. I want us to be okay. And that's covenant talking, not contract. Not that I always get it right, and not that I always get it right quickly, but that time I got there. Covenant doesn't mean you never hurt each other. It means you always come back to the table. You always come back to grace. You come back to each other. And that's the model that we've been given in the Bible. Not in spite of the mess, but right in the middle of it. Right, we need to talk about Ephesians 5, the famous clobber passage everyone loves to argue over. Wives, submit to your husbands. And it's been misused badly, used to justify all sorts of control, all sorts of nonsense. used to keep women silent, small, subservient. But here's what's mad. Everyone focuses on verse 22 and completely ignores verse 21. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Mutual, both ways. Then Paul tells husbands to love their wives the way Christ loved the church. And we talked about this last time. How did Christ love the church? He gave up his life for her. He was crucified, nails through his hands, mocked, derided, and bled out. That's the standard. Not be in charge, not make all the decisions. Love her the way Christ loved the church, sacrificially, to the point of death. That's not telling women to be doormats. That's telling men to model themselves on Jesus. And if Jesus only loved the church when she got things right, we'd all be screwed. He loved her when she was unfaithful. He loved her when she was confused, when she denied him. He built her up. He challenged her when she was wrong, sure, but always in love. So, what does that mean for how we lead in our homes? It means your leadership looks like Jesus washing feet. Strength is measured by how much you're willing to give, not how much you can take. It means if your wife is shrinking back instead of flourishing, something's wrong. That's not biblical. That's broken. Biblical leadership in marriage is making space for your wife to become more fully herself, not less. But here's the reality. We are broken people making promises to other broken people. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to argue over stupid things like I did on Friday. You'll feel distant sometimes, disappointed, maybe even devastated. Sometimes you'll wonder, did I marry the wrong person? Why is this not working like the movies promised? But the biblical vision of marriage was never built on perfect compatibility. It was built on covenant commitment. You don't need a soulmate. This isn't Disney. You need a covenant. You need a partner. Because here's what the secular world won't tell you. Feelings are fickle. Attraction ebbs and flows. The butterflies, they don't last forever. And if your marriage is built on feelings alone, it'll collapse the first time that things get hard. A covenant says, I'm staying. Not because this is easy, not because you've earned it, but because I've chosen you. That argument I had with my wife, it reminded me that covenant doesn't mean that you never hurt each other. It means that you always come back to the table. You come back to grace. And lads, if you're married, that's where the work is. Not the wedding, not the honeymoon, but the daily choice to love, even when sometimes it feels hard. To forgive when you're hurt, to serve when you're tired. I've heard marriage called a furnace of sanctification because it'll test you and it will shape you into someone who can actually love the other person. Now here's the bit that makes everyone uncomfortable, right? Divorce. The Bible speaks seriously about divorce. Malachi 2:16 says God hates divorce. Not because he wants people trapped in misery, but because divorce always wounds. It tears, it hurts people. But sometimes something sacred has already been broken by abuse, by betrayal, by abandonment. So if you're in a marriage that's dangerous, either emotionally, physically, or spiritually, this isn't a call to stay and suffer. Covenant was meant to protect life, not destroy it. God is not glorified by abuse. Jesus himself made allowances for divorce in cases of unfaithfulness, for instance. And Paul says, you're not bound if your spouse abandons you. There's a world of difference between a dysfunctional marriage and a dangerous one. If you're in a marriage where you're being harmed, that's not what God intended. Get help, get safe. Covenant doesn't mean enduring violence. But for most of us, what we're dealing with isn't abuse. It's just two imperfect people trying to figure out how to love each other well. And that's hard, but it's not impossible. For most of us, what keeps marriage alive isn't the grand gestures, it's daily grace, forgiveness after disappointment, coming back together after misunderstandings, choosing to love when you don't feel like it. But don't forget desire, don't forget delight, don't forget the Song of Songs, right? It's one of my favourite books in the Bible, and it shows us that love in marriage is meant to be passionate, beautiful, joyful. It's not just a duty, it's a desire. It's intimacy. It's two people who genuinely enjoy each other. But intimacy without covenant, it's fragile. And covenant without intimacy is cold. Marriage was designed to hold both. Proverbs is full of practical wisdom about this. Rejoice in the wife of your youth. A noble wife is a crown to her husband. He who finds a good wife finds a good thing. And these aren't just nice sayings. They're reminders that marriage is meant to be a source of joy, of strength, of blessing. But that doesn't happen by accident. It happens through choice, daily choice, to love, to serve, to forgive, to pursue each other. You don't stumble into covenant love. You choose it. Every morning you choose it. In the mundane moments, you choose it. In the difficult seasons, you choose it. And here's what I'm learning, slowly, imperfectly. The more I die to myself, the more alive my marriage becomes. The more I let go of needing to be right, needing to win, needing to control, the more space there is for actual love. And that's what Christ models. That's what Ephesians 5 is calling us to. Not a weak, passionate love, but a strong, sacrificial love that lays down its life daily. And lads, that's harder than any workout session. That's harder than any business deal. That's real work. So where does that leave us? If you're married and struggling, you're not failing. If you've made mistakes, you're not disqualified. If you long for this kind of covenant love, you're not mad. You were made for it. And even if you feel like you're the only one fighting for your marriage right now, God sees. He hasn't left you. Isaiah 49 says, "Can a mother forget her child? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands." We've talked about that verse before, right? That's covenant love. And that's what He wants for you, to give and to receive. Marriage isn't a contract to be negotiated. It's a covenant that shapes you. That little argument with my wife last Friday, we sorted it out. It wasn't dramatic. We just came back to each other, said sorry, chose grace. And that's what covenant love looks like most days. Not those grand gestures, but just small choices to stay, to love, to forgive, and to try again. Real love is possible, even now, especially now. If this is hitting something in you, if you're tired of surface level relationship advice and you want something grounded, something real, give it a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. That genuinely helps more people find conversations like this. And if you want more of these honest conversations about faith and about life, not polished answers, but real grounded stuff, hit subscribe. And if these videos have genuinely helped you, if they've given you something to think about or brought you some hope, you can support what I'm doing over on Patreon. It's not much, but honestly helps me make space for creating content like this. You don't need to be loud to be strong. You don't need to dominate to lead. You were made for covenant love, the kind that lays down its life daily. Be like Jesus, strong, grounded, gentle, dangerous to the darkness. My name's Jacob, and this might be church.